Blue Exorcist is one of those manga series that you don't really hear much about. And so going into this series completely blind, I kind of just knew that it had something to do with supernatural powers, the mystical meaning the physical, or the supernatural meaning the physical, one plane of existence onto another. So I was really interested to see the twists and turns that they would make with it. And having read the back of the first volume, I kind of knew the general gist of it. And it was enough to sell me on the point, and that being the bastard son of the devil deciding, I'm going to kill the devil because he murdered my father figure, who happens to be Shiro Fujimoto in the book. And Shiro Fujimoto is essentially the All Might of Blue Exorcist, or the Satoru Gojo of Blue Exorcist, where he's just this super powerful dude, well-renowned, a legend among the Exorcist world. So that was very fascinating. Now, but as for, let me just hit on some of the bigger points. Actually, the art is really good, really solid, really enjoy it. I think the artistry with like the flames and the fire and certain aspects of the fighting, the physicality works really well. I really enjoy the character models and how each one looks quite unique. But the drawing point for me with Blue Exorcist every volume was the connection between four main characters, that being obviously Shiro Fujimoto, his backstory, how he's linked to the main character Rin Akamura, to be exact, and his brother Yukio Akamura. Rin and Yukio's friction-like relationship always was a selling point for sure, and you wanted to see how they resolved it and how they would keep working through it, and I found that to be quite fascinating. And lastly is the character Shura Kuragakure, and Shura Kuragakure is probably the most interesting character right next to Shiro, and Shura is just freaking fascinating. Her backstory with Shiro, her relationship with Rin and Yukio, all of it is very fascinating because you kind of delve into the story not knowing anything, obviously, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, obviously they kind of know each other, and then it goes into the backstory around the middle of the manga series, and you're like, oh, this there is a connection here. So I really like how Shura is kind of a waifu looking figure, like typically, but she's much deeper and much more interesting than the typical waifu. So I enjoyed that element of it as well. Overall, I would say that this series is a solid 7 out of 10. It's not terrible, nothing too great, but interesting enough to keep you invested. Thankfully, the manga's been on hiatus for quite some time. I'd say at least a year in terms of physical copies being produced. But this very month in November, I believe it was November. I believe it is November, if I'm correct. If not, it's December. But they are coming out with the next volume of Blue Exorcist. So they're finally starting to print the next volume in it. I am very, very excited. My anticipation is high. So if you are interested in reading this series, I would highly recommend it. So do go out and check it out. And thank you for listening to me ramble on. Please like the video, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Have a great rest of your day.